Have you noticed that the feelings are preventing you from enjoying the accomplishments of your hard work and getting recognition for them? Or do you feel like your achievements may not be valid due to some underlying belief that it is only a matter of luck or chance that you achieved them in the first place? Nurse Chung here to tell you that that is not true. If you're feeling this way, you may be dealing with imposter syndrome, and it's important to recognize signs and start building your confidence so that we can get out of this loop. So what is imposter syndrome and why do people experience it? Imposter syndrome is a psychological phenomenon in which individuals doubt their accomplishments and have an underlying fear of being exposed as frauds. It can manifest into feelings of self-doubt, low confidence, and a fear of failure. Many successful professionals experience this phenomenon, and it can be particularly challenging to overcome. Imposter syndrome is often a result of certain environmental factors, such as a lack of recognition or validation by our peers and our mentors. It can also be a result of prior failures and experiences where an individual did not succeed in spite of their best efforts. So some common signs that you might experience when you think you're going through imposter syndrome could be feeling of inadequacy and self-doubt, fearing of being exposed as a fraud or not deserving your success, setting unreasonably high expectations and standards for yourself, excessive need for approval from others, avoiding new challenges or opportunities, and difficulty accepting compliments or praise. I myself have been one to have some difficulty accepting that as well. If you've been experiencing any of these symptoms, it's important to recognize that these are signs of imposter syndrome and are not an indication of your worth and abilities. It's possible to overcome these feelings through self-compassion, building resilience, as well as developing a sense of self-efficacy. So how do we identify the root cause of our imposter syndrome? Imposter syndrome can be triggered by certain experiences or patterns of behavior. It's important to identify the underlying cause in order to create an effective plan in order to overcome it. So we start by reflecting with our experiences and identifying any patterns that have remained consistent over time. These can be negative beliefs about yourself or experiences that resulted in failure. You may also want to evaluate your current environment and identify any possible triggers or sense of insecurity. It can be a lack of recognition or validation from your peers, feeling inadequate or judged, or it can even be feeling isolated and alone. Once you've identified the root cause, you can start working on strategies to overcome this imposter syndrome, whether it's in your career or your personal life. So strategies to overcome imposter syndrome, what do we need to do? We're going to start with self-compassion. If you haven't watched my previous video, I highly suggest you go watch it. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, as it is truly important to take that first step in overcoming imposter syndrome. Recognize that it's natural to feel inadequate, but that these feelings do not define who you are. Identify and challenge your negative thoughts. It's important to recognize that with imposter syndrome, it's ultimately going to cause you to have negative thoughts about yourself and your abilities. When these thoughts arise, take time to challenge them with evidence to the contrary. Build resilience. This is huge. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from setbacks. To build resilience, you have to focus on taking risks and learning from your mistakes. So for example, if you fail a project, reflect on the experience and identify what went wrong and how you can improve it later. To reduce imposter syndrome, it's important to recognize your strengths and build a sense of self-efficacy. Take note of your successes and celebrate them, no matter how small. So if you learned a new skill or if you're successful at a meeting, take a time to accept those accomplishments. You may also want to consider setting goals that are within your reach and find a mentor or peer who is going to provide you support and guidance with those. With the right mindset, it's possible to overcome imposter syndrome and start recognizing your achievements. Lastly, learn to build confidence in yourself and others around you. Make sure to give yourself credit for these successes and surround yourself with positive people that are going to provide constructive feedback and affirmation. This will help increase your self-esteem and reduce the feelings of inadequacy associated with that imposter syndrome. If you're in a toxic workplace environment, it may be necessary to work through the feelings and remove yourself from that situation. Embrace your worth and stay focused on achieving success in a healthy and positive way. Don't choose to stay in an environment that is not going to be healthy for you. The importance of self-care when dealing with imposter syndrome is huge. When you're dealing with that imposter syndrome, that can feel very emotionally and mentally draining. To cope with it, it's important to practice self-care by engaging in activities that make you feel relaxed as well as rejuvenated. This can be taking a break from work, practicing mindfulness, meditation, engaging in physical activity, as well as spending time with family and friends. Self-care is not only important for managing imposter syndrome, but it's also important for your overall mental well-being. It can help provide clarity and perspective as well as reduce stress and anxiety. So finally, acknowledging your feeling and seeking help is highly needed when it comes to overcoming imposter syndrome. So really, in conclusion, imposter syndrome can be difficult and a draining experience. However, with the right strategies and self-care practices in place, it's possible to overcome these feelings of inadequacy and start recognizing your own successes. Self-compassion, challenging negative thoughts, building resilience, and developing a sense of self-efficacy and surrounding yourself with positive people are all important steps for managing imposter syndrome. Remember that you have value. Take time to recognize your achievements and practice self-care activities when they're needed. This will help you overcome imposter syndrome. If you have any recommendations on how you overcame imposter syndrome or what steps you use, please make sure that you leave them down below in the comments. I love reading them. As always, head over to my social media accounts. I am on Facebook, Instagram, as well as my website at www.nursechun.com, where there's a ton of additional resources regarding imposter syndrome and self-compassion. As always, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!